It's widely believed by numerous attorneys and people looking at this case that Diddy is about to get this life sentence after he's losing his trial, man. He's fighting this trial still. I know it's a long trial. Um, and a lot of people are wondering what's the real crime. We're going to get into that. Some people think that, well, they just got him on being abusive and freaky. No, they got real crimes on them. I'm going to show you some of these lawyers. These lawyers are speaking about it. Multiple lawyers actually have come forward and said Diddy is getting life in prison, a minimum of 20 to 30 years, but likely life because of the substantial amount of evidence in relation to the charges that he's been fighting up against. It's over with. And they actually went into both lawyers that I'm going to show you guys, they went into why Diddy is actually in jail and what the crimes really are. And they broke down the federal and state level correlations in the crimes. And a lot of people think that at the federal level, you have to be charged and tried at the federal for the federal crimes. But these lawyers are saying that the feds can also try state crimes. And I'm going to show you guys that. And if that be the case, once this trial is pretty much wrapping up. As far as I'm concerned, the government has presented a really strong case across the fronts, and I'm going to show you guys why throughout this live stream. So as we go through this, I want you guys to make sure that you come in. It's subscriber-only chat. If you're not a subscriber of the channel, you're not going to be able to be in the comment section. Make sure you keep it respectful with each other and to victims in the comments as well. We see some weirdos, moderators bounce them. The rules of the room, just that, keep it respectful, keep the likes up, hit that like button when you come in. As we go through this information, it takes a lot of work to put this information together, you guys, and to go through this stuff. All I ask is that you hit the like button. And we start every live stream the same way, man, with a prayer. So we'll start that way today. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you humbly, God, asking that you bless everybody listening under the sound of my voice. As we share this information with each other, God, I ask that you let it not just be entertaining, but let it be informative and educational. And let us pull a lesson from this that we could walk through our day-to-day lives with. In your name, Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Man, you reap what you sow. I see you in the chat. You right. Salute to Black Diamonds, one of my channel members. Man, listen. This whole situation, in my opinion, and we saw, I just reported this yesterday, but I'll give you guys the live update because I didn't put it in the live stream. Judge Mathis came forward and went off on Diddy pretty much and said, you a fake gangster. And this is what Judge Mathis had to say about Diddy.
He has a temper, and he's known for that. And people are in fear because of his temper. But street guys don't fear him because they know he's never been in the street. He was a kid, went to Catholic school, and then he was bullied. He tried to join up with some little gang in New York, I think Harlem, that weren't even engaging in crime. And his father, who was killed, was a big gangster in New York. And from my understanding, his mother, she wasn't nothing to play with, and she was associated with his friends from the past, like I'm associated with my friend gangsters from the past. Right. And so there was a sense of fear in New York that the folks that were close to there was one in particular who was close to his dad, and everybody feared in the nation. And so some say that that's why he felt such the liberty of being a tough guy.
So that was a clip from Judge Mathis' new podcast, The Mathis Verdict. Salute to Judge Mathis. I have a lot of respect for him. And what he's saying there, or what I drew from what he's saying there, is that Diddy essentially is kind of he trapped himself in a mindset of something that he wasn't. And when I look at this situation, I look at it as, man, God, please, I've been blessed to become successful. I think everybody's prayer should be, before I become successful, God, allow me to heal from whatever trauma or things I went through in the past, because obviously these things carried over. And we all heard it. Money don't make you happy. We heard the money don't make you a different person. It just enhances what you already are. If you were an insecure person when you were poor, or if you, like Judge Mathis say, if Diddy was getting bullied, and if he was getting punked, or if he was, looking for some type of love from the streets when he was young, then that just amplified when he got money. And I just think that, that's something that the scripture says, do not conform to the pattern of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Do not conform. The word conform means to be shaped. If you look at the original Greek word, the meaning means to be shaped from the outside in. And transform means to be shaped from the inside out. I teach this with my clients when we teach in business, to be transformed, to have any transformation, you got to renew your mind. Do not conform to the pattern of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And, some people don't get that lesson, or they get the lesson too late. And I think Diddy's in that situation. Now, a lot of people are asking, what are Diddy crimes? A lot of people are asking, what crime did Diddy actually commit? Because from their perspective, social media's perspective, he's just being freaky. And he's abusive. Yeah, that's domestic violence. But what federal crimes did he commit? We're going to get to that right now. And we're going to start breaking this down. I want you guys to hear what this lawyer had to say. And then I'm going to come back. I'm going to show you guys different articles on how the government put this case together in order to get Diddy. And all the people that testified and how they all connect and what the crime actually is. But I want you guys to hear it from a lawyer's voice first, so you guys understand that the government is not just in here playing games. They're not in that courtroom playing games just because Diddy beat up Cassie. They actually could care less that Diddy beat up Cassie and all that other stuff, right? That's just a means to an end. Same thing with Kid Cudi's car. They could actually care less about Kid Cudi's car being blown up. The stuff that we care about on social media, like the salacious stories that are big headlines for the shade room, the government don't actually care about. So some people are going, it's not a RICO, it's just a domestic violence case. That's not the case. And we're going to show you guys why on this live stream. Let's hear from this lawyer and get this thing started. There's some bribery charges. There's different things. But I want to start here so you guys understand the gravity of what is going on. Let's check this out.
World is losing focus on is the Cassie Ventura versus P. Diddy relationship. No, yeah, the smut, the porn, everybody's all involved in it. What the prosecution by design is trying to do is elicit her testimony to prove one of the two predicates or lend evidence that the law was broken, including.
When he says two predicates, by the way, what he's saying is there only has to be two. They only have to prove two crimes for it to be a RICO.
Sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, bribery, witness tampering, drug crimes. If the federal prosecution can prove two of those, the RICO case is made and he's going to get convicted. That's my take, where I think everybody's getting lost in the Jerry Springer back and forth. Oh my God, I can't believe the dirty laundry. The federal prosecution doesn't care about Cassidy Ventura. She's there under subpoena. They're trying to bring a RICO indictment saying that this guy violated the law. And here is the other big issues to me as to why the amended or superseding indictments, if you remember back in April, the feds brought a superseding indictment, meaning they amended the indictment, brought additional charges. And this is why this is important, because they brought added two additional counts. One, the sex trafficking, and number two, this is where Combs could get hit. Transportation to engage in prostitution.
Yep.
If they have evidence, whether it's via Cassidy, these escorts or whomever, that he was providing, i.e. flying in prostitutes, escorts, boom, there's one case of the underlying two predicates that you need for the RICO. That's made. Check the box. It didn't have anything to do with Puff Daddy beating Cassidy. It doesn't have anything to do with 1 million bottles of baby oil. You've just checked one of the boxes. What's going to happen, and I think what's going to be the interesting part, is when we get to the end of this trial, the jury's going to have to hear the legal definition of all of these crimes. It's
Hit that like button if you're just coming in.
to be in a jury instruction that's given to the jury, and it's going to be printed out. Okay, here is the federal prosecutor's burden: racketeering, X, Y, and Z. But then it's going to say, if you find not that the federal government was able to prove that Puff Daddy was in a consensual relationship or not, or battered Cassie Ventura. No, it's going to say, here's the legal definition of sex trafficking.
Right.
Here is the legal definition of kidnapping, which, by the way,
Legal
is not
definitions.
exactly all that hard to prove. It's like almost a false imprisonment standard. Bribery could be drug crimes. Most importantly, here's the legal definition of a transportation to engage in prostitution. If the jury goes down those different crimes and checks just two of the boxes, Puff Daddy's going away for more than 20 years. Now, the defense is doing a good job job. You can feel the momentum of social media anyway. We're not in the court.
Just on two of those charges that he's facing, if they're proven, he's going away for 20 years. I think that they got proof of much more. And so it's probably going to be looking like a life sentence, man. He should have took the plea deal. I don't know what the plea deal was. Maybe it was, hey, I got to tell on a bunch of people. I don't know what it was. Suge Knight even said that Diddy should tell on people. I'll show you guys that in a second. But 2 charges, the lawyer says, or he going for 20 minimum.
Courtroom, we don't know what's happening, but they're beating up Ventura. They're beating up the lay witnesses to say, hey, this sounds like everybody was just a part of these giant orgies and you were all there for your own. So what's the harm? What's the foul? That's not the case. The case is going to come with those jury instructions. It's going to come with the judge reading out the elements of the crime. Prosecution's going to go back in closing argument and they're going to hammer the jury. That's all we have to do. Is our burden is to prove 2 of this list. If you find 2, your jury then must be one of guilt. On the other hand, the defense is going to go in there and say, what has the prosecution done? They're trying to convict my client by a bunch of inferences, by a bunch of salacious testimony, but where is the underlying crime? In my opinion, I think it's going to be a battle in closing. The defense is going to try to say, hey, it's too vague. It's not clean. You haven't heard any admissions. You haven't heard any direct evidence. All you've heard is salacious, craziness coming out of the bedroom. Prosecution's going to say, that's not our case. Prosecution's going to bring them back to the middle, and they're going to say he's flying in escorts, paying them for freak offs. That is the very definition of a transportation to engage in prostitution. Check. 1 crime down. Now, ladies and gentlemen, all I have to prove to you is that Sean Combs acting as the enterprise. Remember, we are not going after Sean Combs just as an individual. We're treating him as a business and an enterprise. Now, all I have to prove to you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, is one of these other crimes that we're suggesting he committed all of them. If you can prove 2 underlying predicates, it goes down as a guilty verdict. And that's the dangerous game that he's playing. And that's why I think social media is missing it, because, oh my God, did you hear about this and this and that? The baby oil and all this nonsense is just supporting the fact that these things actually happened.
In other words, the legal definitions of the crimes are important. I agree 100% when he said that this is going to be won or lost in closing. I think that the government already won it. I don't think that they have much of a battle, because legal definitions, right? So, for example, our common sense says kidnapping is one thing, but to the government, to like legally, when you think kidnapping, right? As an everyday person, everyday civilians, we think kidnapping. We think he threw him in the trunk. He took him across the state. You know what the legal definition of kidnapping is? Moving somebody like 15 feet or 100 feet or something like that. 15 yards. Like if I tell you to walk from here to there over 100 feet, I kidnapped you. If I did it by fear, force, or coercion. Fear, force, or coercion. Meaning if I say, hey, if you don't move over there, your family going, that's coercion. Right? And like what we think of when we think of these crimes, we think of them like, well, that's just Diddy just being freaky. Like he flying in people to sleep with him. No, once you fly in somebody and pay them, which that's been testified. The prostitutes came to court. These are the prostitutes that testified against Diddy, as reported by TMZ. These are the guys that Diddy paid to fly in. And these are just the ones that testified. These are not all the ones that were accused of this. And sleep with Cassie or do these freak offs and different things like that. And they said that he was paying between $1,500 and $6,000 per session, flying them in from different states. That's trafficking. You can't fly somebody in for the purpose of engaging in prostitution. That's a legal definition of trafficking. Boom, they check that box. Like the lawyer said, you only got to get 2. You only got to check 2 of those. Right? So if they check that and then they charging Diddy with using his organization to basically have his employees and all the resources that he has from his different companies engage in different crimes, they check another box. Bribery. Hey, we paid this person off. We paid that person off. You know, that checks another box. We paid this hotel worker off. That checks another box, which I'm going to show you guys in a second. Then you got the arson. Oh, he blew up Kid Cudi's car. It's another box. These are all like, these ain't baby charges, man. These are serious charges. So people that are going, oh, well, the baby oil and Cassie and all I see is a freak. Bro, what we perceive, the connotation of the law and the denotation of the law, meaning connotation meaning the way we look at it, and denotation means the actual definition of the law, are two different things. So I do believe that Diddy's lawyers are fighting an uphill battle, because they're going to have to, they're trying to, even now, they're trying to play the PR game somewhat. We just need social media to believe this. Now, let me walk you guys through the whole case. If you missed every part of the case, I'm going to walk you through it right now as best I can and give you the play-by-play of what happened throughout this trial. First, Cassie comes to testify, right? Well, actually, excuse me. First, the first prostitute that Diddy hired came to testify. Yes, Diddy paid me this much money to fly in and sleep with Cassie, do these freak offs. Right there, you got trafficking on the first witness. Second witness, Cassie comes in. Cassie comes in and says, yes, Diddy was beating the crap out of me. You guys see the hotel video. The hotel video is played in court. And that was only played not because they care so much about Cassie getting beat up and all that. I'm sure they probably, I don't know. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But that's not why they played it in court. They played that hotel video in court in order to establish this is what happens when somebody that Diddy says he loves tries to get away from him. When somebody that he claims to be in a relationship with, in love with, and puts on a pedestal, this is what happens when a person that's that close to him tries to, say no to him. So imagine what happens when an employee that the world doesn't know, that's not a famous celebrity, that doesn't do movies, that's not on albums, nobody knows this person. Imagine what happens if they say no to Diddy. That's the only reason they bring that hotel video, I believe, into the courtroom, to establish a character, right? And once they establish that, now we can move into other things. Like a lot of what we seen in the trial, or what we seen in the trial, is all to just establish the next thing. So after the Cassie video gets played, after all the Cassie stuff comes out, this is what Diddy was doing. This is how serious it was. That's a little bit of a PR game by the feds, but it's more so just to establish the next thing, just to say. And then a big part of Cassie's testimony was, yes, I was hired by Diddy and my job was to put together these freak offs and pay these people to come from out of state and different things like that, which shows what? Which established what? That establishes that Diddy was using Bad Boys Entertainment to sign artists, Cassie, in order to have them become employees of illegal activity, a criminal organization, an organization that's doing crime. So you're using a legitimate organization and turning it into a criminal organization, and using the resources from the legitimate one for the illegitimate one. That's all the government is trying to establish in that situation. Does that make sense to everybody in the chat? I want to make sure that you guys kind of with me. So if that makes sense in the chat, drop a 1. Put a 1 in the chat if that makes sense to you. So as they move through that, right? Okay, cool. Now they have to kind of establish other things, because it has to be two things. It can't just be the trafficking, right? So now they have to establish he was using this organization for criminal activity. What did they do next? What did the government start doing next? They started calling all his former assistants and employees that were willing to speak out against him to the stand, right? And then the assistants started testifying to what they saw, and they were all subpoenaed. You had Capricorn Clark, you had George Kaplan, and there was the first one was somebody else. It was somebody, I can't remember the guy's name. I think it was not David Ferguson. That's his chief financial officer, I believe. They had him testify too, the CFO, David James. So Diddy's former personal assistant, David James, was recounting chauffeuring Combs to a gunfight with his record executive, Suge Knight, James said he realized he might die that night at the wheel of his boss's car in the parking lot of a LA diner. Combs sat behind him in the black Escalade with 3 guns in his lap, James said on the stand. MF for drive. He recalled Combs screaming out as they set out. Both former PAs, personal assistants, also described heartrending scenes of violence. George Kaplan, on the other hand, remembered a 2015. These guys testified in court. And I'm showing you guys these two because it's not just the women that's testifying. The men are coming forward and saying, hey, he was on some wild stuff. And George Kaplan came forward and said he saw Diddy beat up, or he heard Diddy beating up Cassie on a private jet in front of everybody. And she was just screaming and crying. Is anybody seeing this? They don't, the government don't really care about the DV, the domestic violence. They more so care that Diddy was using these people, because George Kaplan, the guy that says this about Diddy, he went on to say, yeah, Diddy would give me the company credit card, and I would take the company credit card and go to go to the store, get witch hazel and, ice packs and different things like that to cover up the fact that he just beat up Cassie. That's a crime. You can't use your legal organization and your legal employees to help you fulfill criminal acts. That's RICO. That's racketeering, bro. So for the people like, what's the crime? What is he doing? Kind of walking you through this. Then we get the Kid Cudi stuff, right? Or excuse me, did we get Kid Cudi first? Yeah, we got Kid Cudi first. And then Kid Cudi is like, yeah, I called the police and Diddy was in my house, allegedly, and he blew up my car, allegedly. That's what he testified to on the stand. Yes, I talked to Diddy on the phone. Yes, he was threatened by me dating Cassie, all this different stuff. Why did the government do that? For 2 reasons. One, we want to establish, I don't even believe that they're trying to get the arson charge. I don't believe they're trying to convict him on the arson charge. I believe that they just brought the arson charge in order to establish that he blew up Kid Cudi's car, so Kid Cudi can establish that Diddy used his driver of his black Escalade, which it was reported, and I showed you guys on previous reports, and Capricorn Clark, who's another assistant that testified against Diddy in this case, and she said that Diddy threatened to kill her if she didn't help him go blow up Kid Cudi's car. So a woman's DNA was found, but it was inconclusive on Kid Cudi's car, the Porsche that was blown up with a Molotov cocktail. So Capricorn Clark say, I'm the woman on the stand. I'm the woman that Diddy forced to go over there with him. So a lot of these people are accomplices for real, but they're being presented as victims, and they're being presented as, and which is why we're not seeing a bunch of people charged with Diddy in a RICO. Why is he in a RICO by himself? A lot of people would ask. Because all the accomplices are testifying against him. Everybody getting immunity. George Kaplan got immunity. George Kaplan, which is one of Diddy's assistants, the one that seen him on the jet beating up Cassie or whatever, he got immunity on the stand. Like, hey, before I say this, can I get an immunity packet? And they gave it to him on the stand. So a lot of these people are accomplices. But the Kid Cudi thing, we on social media, we read, oh, Kid Cudi car got blew up. That's crazy. To the government, they don't really care about that. They care about establishing that Diddy was using his organization and employees of his organization, company credit cards, and all the resources of Bad Boys Entertainment and Combs Enterprises as a criminal organization. And it's on the federal level because it was across state lines. You're going from New York to LA to blow up this car with employees. Right? So she comes on the stand, Capricorn Clark, she says that about Kid Cudi. Then the fire department and the LAPD gets on the stand. And the LAPD officer says, yeah, Diddy had somebody in the LAPD destroy evidence. That's true. He got on the stand and said that, bro. I went back to get the evidence from the case. Diddy had somebody destroy it in the LAPD. Then you got the fire department saying, yes, it was a woman's DNA. It was inconclusive. And then Capricorn Clark say it was mine. Get on the stand and say, yeah, I was the woman that was there. RICO. Right? Then they move into the next phases of trying to prove it, where they pull his CFO, his chief financial officer, and different things like that. All these people, and then you got the Dawn Richards and the people that were record label employees and different things like that. And then you got the ex-assistant Mia, who came forward with some, accusations and stuff. And then you got this new woman who's on the stand today. Actually, there's a woman right now on the stand as we speak saying that Diddy dangled her over a balcony and all kind of crazy stuff. All these different things that are being presented, right? These things are pointing to the racketeering charges. This is not just about baby oil, domestic violence, and freak offs. This is about using this whole organization as such. Then you had a security guard that came forward from the Cassie Hotel footage. Now, mind you, I'm kind of trying to teach you guys. They're using everything to kind of set up the next piece of evidence. So the security guard from the hotel, where the hotel footage of Diddy beating up Cassie, he came forward. And when he came forward, he says that Christina Karam, Diddy's right-hand woman, was the person that reached out to him in order to get rid of some evidence, and they paid him $50,000. Show you guys this. Right here in this article, Eddie Garcia is his name. Said when Eddie Garcia met with Sean Combs to sell him surveillance footage of Combs beating Cassie Ventura, the security officer testified he told Combs he was worried police would come looking for him if Ventura filed a police report. Diddy said, quote, "You don't have to worry about that." Garcia then told the jury that he was put on the phone with the woman he understood to be Cassie. Garcia said he overheard Diddy tell her, "Let him know that you want the video to go away too." Ventura told Garcia she had a movie coming out and it wasn't a good time for this to come out and she wanted it to go away. The security guard said after Sean Combs and Cassie Ventura told him they wanted security footage to keep quiet, kept quiet. Hotel security worker Eddie Garcia testified to all this. He signed NDA agreements averring that the video didn't exist on any other servers and that he wouldn't divulge any details from the deal. In this, he said that Christina Karam was the first one to contact him and that she was also there when the exchange was done. I just want to keep making that clear because we ain't heard her testimony, and I don't know if they charging her, but she's definitely a super accomplice to Diddy. Said the hotel worker testified that Sean Combs' chief of staff, Christina Karam, came to the Intercontinental Hotel herself in person and asked for the surveillance footage March 5th, 2016, shortly after Diddy beat up Cassie. The security worker said Karam first asked for the video on a phone call and was told she would need a subpoena. When she arrived at the hotel lobby, she inquired again if there was any way she could see it so Diddy's staff could know what they were dealing with. Garcia said he apologized to Karam and insisted that she needed a subpoena, but he gave her a brief description of the footage and said it's bad. At that point, Diddy invited him to the hotel. Dude went to his supervisor. Just to give you guys a summary. Dude went to his supervisor. Supervisors told him, "We need to charge Diddy for this." Diddy said, "I give you," or dude said, "I need 50,000." Diddy gave him 100,000. Dude said, the security guard said, "I went up there, gave him the footage. He gave me 50,000. He gave me 100,000. I gave 50,000 to myself, 20,000 to another guard that was involved, and 30,000 was kept to himself." So he gave 50,000 to the supervisor, 20,000 to his coworker, and 30,000 for himself, and he bought a used vehicle with it. He testified against Diddy. That's bribery, dog. You know what I'm saying? That's bribery. So we got one more lawyer that I want to show. And we're going to hear what he has to say about the situation. Here we go. Let me put him on camera.
That is the danger when you catch yourself talking out of your ass. No, seriously, brought up an amazing point that candidly I just missed when looking at RICO, Racketeer Influence Corrupt Organization Act. When looking at that act, of course, everybody all understands that you have to prove two predicate acts. Everyone understands that. Here's where I knew, but just missed it. And I don't know why it just didn't dawn on me. When proving these two predicate acts, the assumption is always that they have to be two federal criminal charges. They just have to be criminal charges. They can be state level criminal charges. Okay. And so went back and read the indictment. And this is why it's very important to remember, we take the law as it, we take the good, we take the bad, we take them both. You take the law as it is, not as you want it to be, not as you think it should be. And the law in this situation when dealing with RICO is that the federal government can charge state level crimes. Sometimes why would they prefer to prove or charge state level crimes is they're sometimes easier to prove. And so in their indictment, and went back and read the indictment, and if you go back and read the indictment, they allege violations of California Penal Code. Specifically, they allege violations of California Penal Code 137. Why is that important? That is the bribery statute in California. Remember, I talked about the fact that it didn't seem like it met the definition of federal bribery, but it does meet the definition, I think, of state bribery. So you read the state California law. Every person who gives or offers or promises to give to any witness, person about to be called as a witness, or person about to give material information pertaining to a crime to a law enforcement official, any bribe, upon any understanding or agreement that the testimony of such witness or information given by such person shall there be influenced, is guilty of a felony. So we go back and we look at the testimony. Was there a crime committed, or was there a thought of the crime committed? Was money or something being exchanged so this crime would not be reported to law enforcement? Yeah.
100%.
That's state level bribery. And so why that's interesting, if you go back and look at the federal indictment, they allege a lot of state level crimes, and a lot of those are significantly easier to prove. And they just got to prove 2 of them. So yes, back again, shout out to Liz. If you look at it, going back with my testimony, I still think that helps them prove the RICO, because the non-disclosure agreement that was signed by Mr. Garcia is on company letterhead, but it also 100% helps with the 2 predicate acts and helps with bribery.
Another good point that he said it, but he kind of glossed over it because that's not what his video is about. But using the NDAs, when you're using all these NDAs and you're using them to cover up crime, that's also a form of using your legal organization as a criminal organization. You can't have somebody sign an NDA to not tell about crimes that you did, bro. That's illegal. Like people think, and here's for the idiots in the chat or on social media that be like, "Oh, you're trying to tear a black man down, man. That man tore himself down." I'm reading articles. We reading articles. Don't say nothing about nobody in here, and stop trying to guilt trip black people. Oh, you black, so you can't talk about black people. Shut up. Y'all worship skin color. Y'all weird. Shut up. Ain't nobody tore Diddy down. Diddy tore himself down. He been doing this for 30 years. What are you talking about? He ain't got one person. 30 years in the entertainment industry, all the billions that he done made people and made for himself. He ain't got nobody coming forward saying, yo, he would never do this. Everybody got away from him immediately. And we tearing them down? You sound stupid. Y'all need to grow up, man. Seriously. A lot of people need to grow up. Y'all sound foolish. Can't nobody tear this fool down. He done tore himself down. This is public information. This ain't something that we going and digging. This is stuff that's publicly available for everybody. If you just, all you got to do is look for it. If you don't look for it, you can find it. He get life in prison. That's on him. No different than anybody from the hood, block, anybody else that if they do something stupid, they get life in prison. That's on them. I don't care if he a celebrity. I don't care if he got money. That don't mean nothing. By the way, the Fed's about to seize all the money. And all that's the cold part about RICOs. Like, you got his kids and his family. Unfortunately, I feel bad for the girls because they about to start from scratch. Because the Feds is going to say everything that you've ever accumulated over the lifespan of your career has been from a criminal organization, which means we have the right to seize it as the federal government. Which means start from scratch and do it again if you really did it. Do it the right way. That's what sucks. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, For the one that pleases God, God has given him wisdom, knowledge, and joy. But for the sinner, God has given him the business of gathering and collecting. The business of gathering and collecting, only to give to the one who does please God. What does that mean? That means that when you're doing what God tells you to do with your blessings, God gonna give you all the good stuff. When you don't do what God tells you, when you take the blessings from God and you start thinking that and you start doing what you want to do with the blessings, oh, God go, okay, you gonna gather and you gonna collect. And in the end, I'm gonna make you give it away to somebody that does please me. AKA lawsuits, AKA seize property, AKA you go to jail and everybody else get to spend the money, AKA you don't get to enjoy it in the end. I gave you the business of gathering and collecting. That's Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 26, I believe. Y'all got to stop it at all costs, man. I think that's a good place for us to get into our community hour where we talk about these topics from the entrepreneur perspective. I don't like to just come here and give you guys entertainment news. I want to give you something that you can leave with, some life lessons you can leave with. I coach entrepreneurs for a living. I have a whole company. We got a bunch of employees at my company doing the same thing. You can go at the bottom of the screen, check it out, ulgnd.com. And over there, we do a private live event every single week, every Wednesday. And you can get the replay of the event now. It's called From Stuck to Seven Figures. And I teach you the 4 steps to turn your purpose into profit, right? All you got to do is hit the unlock access. It's no cost to you. All you got to do is put your email address in. We'll send you a link to the live stream. You can go watch the playback if you missed it yesterday. And you can watch the playback in general. But in that live stream, we talk about some of this stuff, not the entertainment part of it, but we talk about the lessons that you can learn from some of this stuff and how you can find your purpose and figure out the perfect business idea for you, right? Or even if you're stuck at the 5-figure, 6-figure, 7-figure level, we always teach you how to get unstuck. And what I see in this situation is a dude that, and this is actually a lot of the problem in hip hop culture in general. Diddy is one of them dudes that you left the hood, you had all the blessings, you had all the access, all the reach. And instead of leaving the mentality of ignorance, you stay stuck in the mentality of ignorance. A lot of people, even the people that go, oh, well, he black, we should just do this. No, y'all stuck in hip hop mindset. And this ain't hip hop, dog. This ain't a movie. This ain't a album. Diddy not gonna get out and make an album about this. He about to do life in prison. Where you gotta go be all those things that you was pretending to be on the street. None of us are perfect. I've been locked up before when I was young, 18, 19 years old. I come from the hood. I get it. But I think the main thing, and I said this in the beginning of this live stream, the main thing is always remembering, bro, you can't be conformed to the world. You have to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. What does that tell me? And this is a principle I teach all our clients, right? All my entrepreneurs that's listening. The reason that you get stuck at any level, whether you're stuck at, hey, I'm just trying to get a decent job, or I got a decent job, I'm trying to start a business so I can get out of this job, or whether you're stuck at, hey, I got a business, but I'm working it like a 9-to-5 job, I'm exhausted and I'm burnt out and I'm trying to get to 6 figures. Or if you're at 6 figures and hey, I'm trying to scale to 7 figures, it's all the same thing. It's all the awareness that you have currently, the mindset that you're stuck in. I could teach anybody how to make $1 million. I genuinely believe that because I just know what I'm doing. It's a simple system, to be honest with you. But you know what's hard to teach people how to do? Stop thinking the way they've been thinking. That's why I believe the scripture says, don't be conformed by the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. What does that mean? That means all transformation starts in the mind. And without the mind, you can't have a transformation. Without renewing your mind, you won't have a transformation. You'll be conformed to the world. I think in hip hop culture in general, and especially in Diddy's situation, that fast, get money, drink all night, sleep with 100,000 women, I ain't seen that work out for nobody yet. I'm trying to show me the story where that worked out for somebody. But it looked fun. On the surface, it looked fun. On the front of the picture, it looked fun. It looked like, man, they living the life, they doing it. Yeah, all right. And and I'm successful. I live in a mansion. My wife is a model. Like, I'm not judging from the perspective of wanting to enjoy your blessings. And I'm not judging from somebody that's like, oh, I'm poor and I'm just mad because he's rich. No, I'm rich. But I'm telling y'all, I keep telling all the fellas, bro, hey, it's important. Get a ring, put a ring on that finger. It's important. Go find the right woman. Men, and by the way, men, this, you know what we get hung up on? Men, we don't find the right woman. We don't find Mrs. Right. We pick the right woman when we find the right time. We find the right time. Okay, I got everything lined up. I got this going. I got that going. Now it's time for me to find a woman. That's how men think. I got my job going. I got, my income coming in. I got my house. I got my car. Only thing I'm missing is a woman. That's how we typically do it. But a lot of these dudes, they get to a place of success and they get to live out the fantasies of the life that they didn't have before the success. So when Judge Mathis, in the beginning of this live stream, I told you guys Judge Mathis saying Diddy was bullied and all this different stuff, and nobody really was messing with Diddy when he was growing up. He was getting punked in the hood and all this different stuff. Those are the past perceived voids. Those are the voids from his past. That it drives you to a certain level of ambition, to have a certain level of success. I believe this genuinely. As a successful person, as a person with a bunch of millionaire friends and mentors, and when I'm around these people all day long, I see it. I believe that a lot of the ambition that we see, and a lot of ambition that even myself, that we have, some of you guys as well, is from a place of being unhealed about something in your past. So if Diddy was what Judge Mathis said in the beginning, bullied and all this different stuff, then he probably like, man, I'm about to get so much money and so much power that I'm about to talk to people like they was talking to me when I was young. And I'm never going to be bullied again. Something internal might, or, man, women used to play me. Girls used to play me growing up. Now I'm going to make girls do whatever I say. Man, I'm gonna have dudes peeing in girls' mouths. Like all kind of crazy. It's in the mind. The mind is such a powerful thing, man. That's why you got to get control of all that. Man, God is so important. God is so important. I think, man, not only would I not have my success without God, I wouldn't be able to sustain it without God. I pray every day, all day, sometimes. So important, man. Success without God isn't success, by the way. How do I know that? Because Psalm 127 says the person that builds the house and does so without God labors in vain. The watchman that stays awake watching over the city and does so without God stays awake in vain. What does that mean? That means without God, I don't care if you have a business building a house or if you have a job working security. It ain't success without God, dog. That's what that means. And a lot of times when we're chasing our success as entrepreneurs and we're looking at, look at these entertainment topics, right? We look at them like, oh, that's crazy. No, there's something to learn in that. Don't ever come to a Will Evans live stream and all you want to do is just be entertained. That's for you go over to academics or something. No disrespect to academics. He ain't going to do what go somewhere else. Go to TMZ or something. I don't want to just point out academics. I respect academics as for his job. But there's things to learn in these situations, man. Because I don't think that nothing is for waste. I think my grandmother say, walk on the graves of those that came before you. That means the people that have made the mistakes and died from them, stand on top of those people. That's your starting point. You don't have to make the same mistakes or go through the same things. You could just look at them and say, okay, I can't make that mistake. What's the mistake I see in hip hop? Diddy included. Us not healing. I think one big part of it, obviously, is, hey, bro, when you get a certain level of success, don't forget that God is the one that gave you the success. I think another part of it is being promiscuous and with all these different women and all that. I ain't seen that work out for no. Tory Lanez in jail for that reason, like stabbed up in jail for that reason. Jonathan Majors, we seen like certain things. It's just like, bro, you got to find a good woman and lock it down. God is to whom much is given, much is required. The scriptures say. It's a lot of business principles in the Bible, man. But then, there's different lessons. Another lesson in it that I see is don't become a victim of your ambition. Don't become a victim of your ambition. Don't think that Don't be so ambitious that you're chasing like you're chasing all these accolades, and it's only because you felt pain in the like. I grew up poor. My parents did a great job with love, but they was young parents. They was teen parents. They had 3 of us. My mom, my mom and dad married and all that at the time, but they had 3 kids in their teen years. You feel what I'm saying? So we grew up a little bit poor. We didn't always have everything. And because of that, that drove me to be, I'm never going to be in a position where my son don't have X, Y, and Z. I'm never going to be in a position where I can't get X, Y, and Z. That drove me to become a millionaire. But the more I healed, the longer I had success. I've been rich for probably 6 or 7 years. The longer I've had success, the more I healed, the more I got away from survival mode, and the more I'm able to zoom out and see, dang, dog, you wasn't really ambitious. You was just broken. How many of us are chasing something because we're broken? I think that's the same thing in Diddy's situation. Why do you need all that power? In the sense of, I got to control people. Y'all seen the video of Nipsey Hussle and Diddy where he was talking to Nipsey and like telling him, I showed it on the channel. Go to one of my other live streams or look the video up on my channel. I showed it. Where he was telling Nipsey like, hey, don't clap again. Bro, why you got to control everybody around you? Why? For what? You know what I'm saying? It's just, I got to show that I got all the power in the room at all times. Man, there's something in your past that made you feel weak or powerless. And this is why you got to overdo it and display all this different power. This is why you got to, I'm a savage. Anything I want, I get. You got to make yourself feel like I'm powerful. But man, ain't none of us powerful, dog. The scripture, Deuteronomy 8, say that when you start to have success, you're going to say, the strength of my hands has created this wealth for me. But remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the power to generate wealth. You have the strength to get wealth, but God gives you the power to get wealth. That's Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 17 and 18. And what that means is, even if my hands built the house, God gave me the hands. Does that make sense? So sometimes we convince ourselves that we can, I'm manifesting stuff and I'm manifesting it and I'm making it happen, and you ain't making nothing happen, dog. When we say we manifested something, all we doing is aligning ourselves and our own beliefs with whatever God already said about us. God already said you was going to get that. You just didn't have no faith. Now you have the faith and you start doing things in faith and taking action in faith that you couldn't take in doubt. And so you think you're manifesting it, but no, you're just aligning with what God already said about you. You can't speak nothing into existence. Only God could do that. Only God can have nothing and speak, and then it becomes something. We're like creatives more than creators. We could take what God created and recreate it into other things. You feel me? But sometimes we have to convince ourselves that we're doing it. And y'all seen the videos I'm talking about of Diddy and screaming, I'm a savage. Ah! And that's good. Celebrate, have fun. I always remember in the back of my mind, y'all know why I pray every live stream? You know why I get on here and pray, you know why? In the beginning, y'all, if you ever watch a Will Evans live stream, I always start with a prayer. Why? Because God is not me, it's you. Let my light, the scripture says, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works, but then glorify your Father who's in heaven. I always start with a prayer because I always want to be clear to myself that God, you gave me the power of communication. Yes, I'm a good communicator. People are going to love how I communicate in here. They're going to say it's me. It's not me, God. I just want you to realize, I just want you to know that I realize that it's you and not me first. That's why I pray before every live stream. It's not necessarily, I love praying for you guys, but it's more so a reminder to myself because I know me. And I know my ambition can turn into arrogance. And I think that's a lot of us. So I have to always humble myself before I do anything. And that's a lot of us. But some of us just aren't self-aware enough to humble ourselves that way. Or we're just too arrogant to do it. And I see that a lot in entrepreneurs because of the level of escape velocity that we have to have as entrepreneurs to, you know how hard it is to make 6 figures, let alone become a millionaire? I just had to zoom out recently listening to Alex Hormozy. And he was saying, like, bro, if you make 600,000, you in the upper 1% of the world. That's 1%, 600,000. And I'm like, dang. You're like, you make a million a year, 1 million a year. That's not upper 1%. That's upper 0.1%. And I'm like, dang, for real? Because I think it's so easy to make $1 million. But then I look back at my last 11 years of business and go, dang, yeah, it was a lot of sleepless nights. It was a lot of obsession over how do I get there. It was a lot of work. And sometimes the escape velocity, what the fuel that we put in our jet to get the escape velocity, to break through all the doubt and all the hard things, is the self-belief or the slight arrogance. I'm this, I'm great. I'm this, I'm the greatest. I could do this. I'll work everybody. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Man, once you out here, once you get to a certain level of success, you look back, you go, yeah, I could have, I could have been content along the way as well. And I look at this situation, this whole situation with Diddy. I just think it's somebody that it's not just an abuse of power. This is over 30 years that he's been doing this stuff, allegedly. It's not just an abuse of power. This is something internal that made him sick like this. What made you sick like this? Because every rich person don't do this evil stuff, man. I'm telling y'all. A lot of rich people are very like loving, giving people. Good people. We just don't know their name because they're loving, giving people. They're not the one that sold their soul. So Satan, like when Satan took Jesus to the top of the mountain and said, I'll give you all the kingdoms of the world. All you got to do is bow to me. Some of these people bow to Satan. So you don't hear about them as much because there is no kingdom that they were given. They just focus on serving God, doing what God told them to do, and blessing people. You know what I'm saying? Which is a principle. Anybody that serves people is going to do well. So I just think overall, the learning lesson in this is just, I think right now for this video, I'll say the learning lesson is watch where your ambition is coming from. What's your ambition really coming from? You know what I'm saying? Is it coming from a past perceived void, a void from your past, something that you were missing in the past? And check that as you go through your journey trying to get success in that, and enjoy it along the way, man. In Ecclesiastes chapter 5, King Solomon wrote, the gift of God is to just enjoy the lot in life that you have and find joy in your toil. What that mean? That means to work for enjoyment and enjoy the work that you do. So when I teach somebody how to find their purpose, right? When I teach somebody how to find the perfect business idea for them, you want to make 6 figures, you want to become a millionaire? And we do, I'll give you guys the full breakdown. Go to From Stuck to 7 Figures on the website, scrolling. It's pinned in the chat as well, ulgnd.com, ulegend.com. And I hope you guys get the full breakdown. You can watch, put your email address in. We give you the live stream for no cost. You don't got to pay nothing for it. Just put your email address in. We'll send it to you. And when I teach somebody to find their purpose, I always start with the 4 pillars of purpose. This is something that I developed. I created. I'm actually about to finish my second book on this concept. This is part of the concept. And what the 4 pillars are is enjoyment, expertise, empathy, and exaltation. What do you like to do? What are you good at? How can you serve a large group of people doing it? And how can you honor God using and combine all 4 of those things? You're going to find your purpose, and you're going to find the perfect business idea for you that gets you where you want to go. And here's the thing. Everybody is not meant to be a millionaire. Everybody's not meant to be a billionaire. But I do believe everybody in America, everybody can earn 6 figures. Some people choose to, some people don't, but everybody can. How do you do it? By solving a problem and counting others more valuable than yourself. I teach business from the biblical perspective as well, so you guys are going to hear me reference scriptures a lot because that's where I learned all my business stuff. But serve people, work for enjoyment, love the thing that you do, not because it's gonna make you feel better about something you didn't. Will Evans, I had to learn to stop working because I wanted to be rich because I was so hurt when I was poor. No, work because you enjoy helping people and you're good at helping people in this way. Enjoyment, expertise, empathy, exaltation. I enjoy this. I enjoy doing this. So I'm gonna, and I'm pretty good at this. I'll give you guys mine, right? This is my 4 pillars, my personal ones. This is how I found my success. This is how I found my millions and my purpose in life because I was lost. Even when I was making money, there was a time I was making money and I was lost. Why? Because success and getting rich ain't the same thing, man. Being successful is I'm operating, or the business is operating for the purpose that I created it for, or that I was created for. This is what I'm meant to be doing. That's success. Even if it makes money, even if it don't. Getting rich is just making some money. How do I know that? Because if I turn the entryway of my mansion into a football field, y'all gonna say, expensive house, waste of a home. Right? That means that just because it's worth some money, don't mean it's successful. It's not doing what it was. It's not operate. If I turn the entryway of my mansion into a football field, it's not operating as a house anymore. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just about making money. It's about being successful. So my 4 pillars, how I apply them for myself, and I'll leave you guys on this. The thing I enjoy business. I always have since I was a kid. Thing I'm good at, what's my expertise? Communicating. Public speaking, talking, tone, pitch, being able to empathize with people, right? I'm just great at communicating. Being able to listen, hear what you heard me say instead of what I told you, like all that. I've always been a great communicator. How do I serve a large group of people? Maybe I should start a business communicating about business to a lot of people on the internet. Boom. I found purpose in life. And how do I exalt God? I teach business principles through the Bible. This is what scripture says about success. This is how you get success from scripture. This is how I applied it to my life. This is how you're going to do it. I teach people how to do that. I communicate to these people about that. I found purpose in life. Now, when I wake up every day, instead of saying, I got to outwork the world, or I got to hustle, or I got to get to it, or I got to grind, I'm grinding. You know what I say? When I swear to you guys, I say it every morning, verbally out loud. Put my feet on the floor, check on my wife, check on my kids. First thing I say is, who we helping today? That's what I care about. Who we helping today? Who am I going to make some millions today? I'm going to help somebody become a millionaire today. I want you guys to feel it. You know why? Maybe that's even from a past void. Because I remember when I first got rich, it was boring. And everybody had to go to work. And I wanted to go hang out and go on vacation. That's why I love my wife. So we get to go out and do fun. That was a gift of God. A prudent wife is from the Lord. The scriptures say. You know what I'm saying? But I just wanted everybody around me to be successful because I seen, dog, if I could come from the hood, poor, grew up poor, nobody rich in my family, nobody successful in my family. And I could go from being in shootouts and jail and being shot and divorced and being a single father and all these different hardships in life to becoming successful using this blueprint, which is not necessary. Y'all think it's you have to have a brilliant idea and man, you know what the brilliant idea is? Help people. Count somebody more valuable than yourself. That's the brilliant idea. Serve people. Find somebody to serve and serve them really well. They're going to give you the money for it because people will rather pay for the solution to the problem than have the problem. They rather give the money up than continue to have the same problem. So if you give them the solution, they'll give you the money in exchange for the solution. Boom, you a millionaire. Now there's other things, obviously, that you have to learn how to structure things. And, you know, there's a lot. But simple concept. So that's what I learned, man. I hope that you guys learned something from this. I hope that I didn't just entertain you. I hope that you guys were educated by this. I hope that you guys, if you don't know God, go find Jesus, man. Yeshua, Yahashua, Yeshua HaMashiach, whatever, however you want to say his name. Hey, my name is William. In Mexico, they call me Guillermo. However you want to say his name, I don't care. I'm telling you, he the way, the truth, the life, man. All my success come from being close to God and staying close to God. I hope that you guys was blessed by this information. I hope that you guys got something out of this, more than just being entertained or learning what the news is today. And I pray for all you guys. And I'll see you guys on our private live event from Stuck to Seven Figures. No cost to you. Put your email address in. Get the live stream. Spend some time with me. If you're in my inner circle, go to the inner circle. By the way, go to your inner circle portal. If you're not in the inner circle, $9 a month, or pay the yearly, which is like $99 a year. You get 2 months free if you pay the yearly. And join the inner circle because it's going to give you the exposure and the environment of other entrepreneurs, successful people, We just added a new feature over there too for you guys that are in the inner circle that watch the content that you ain't checked your portal. We just added a new feature over there with a private comment section. And I'm gonna be up there, you know, updating you guys. We're gonna be giving you guys as much help as possible. Also use the ask Will Anything section. And when we do our networking sessions on Wednesdays, then you guys, I'm gonna answer you guys business questions to help you get your businesses off the ground. I answered a couple questions today. I don't know if you guys in here, Collins, I answered your question, your business question for your business in there on this week's networking session. And I think it was Collins and it was somebody else. Let me see. Who else did I answer? Collins and Tony. I answered your question as well. God bless you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow on tomorrow's live stream. I'm here on YouTube live every day between 9 and 10 a.m. is when we get started, California time. Until then, God bless you guys. See you guys next time.